Hey guys, this is the Twirly Goblin here. Before I start the actual Yu-Gi-Oh part of this video, I want to apologize for not uploading videos recently. I've been very busy between the shows that I have going on at my school that I'm in, and all my other activities. And on top of that, it's kind of hard for me to record over Christmas, because that's kind of family time in my family, as it is with others, but pretty extreme with mine. So, anyway, I am going to start uploading videos more now, and expect more mass uploadings from me instead of weekly. Instead of uploading 3 or 4 videos weekly, I'll probably upload 10 or 12 videos monthly. So, yeah, expect more of that kind of uploading trend from me. Anyway, let's get started. Today's video is going to talk about, as I like to call it, the day that Yu-Gi-Oh! Became something completely different from what it was. The day when our game changed completely. Little to some new players' knowledge, but known to old players. There was a time when flip effect monsters were supreme because they were the best effect monsters in the game. There was a time when 2,000 defense points meant something. There was a time when Gravekeepers ran supreme as top deck. There was also a time when Chaos Monsters effects mattered when Bottomless was activated. There was a time when Chaos Monsters were amazingly good and Chaos Sorcerer was at 3. And BLS was so good that they had to ban it. There was a time when Tribute Monsters were worth it, when the Monarchs were godlike, and special summoning was hard to get off. There was a time when Soul Exchange was a used card, when Nobleman of Crossout was a sought-after and used card, a time when trap cards did not reign supreme as one of the most destructive types of cards in the game, and a time when the fact that it was a quick play trap card mattered. There was a time before hand traps. There was no hand traps. Karibo barely counted. There was a time when there was none of that. When there were only 2 ways, really, to special summon other than Monster Reborn and Call of the Haunted. Basically. They were Ritual and Fusion. Ritual was not very good. Still isn't, although Gashikis were good. Are still good, actually. But Rituals and Fusions. And there was even a time before when Rituals and Fusions were just trash. They weren't worth it. It was better to have a bunch of big normal monsters. In fact, there was a time when normal monsters were awesome and amazing and very used. No more. And that's because of 4 kinds of cards. Traps, Tuners, Xyz, and Synchros. That is why our game is no longer like it used to be. The day that they came out with Synchros and Tuners was the day that the game really died and became something completely different. Tuners are amazing. They're very underrated, in my opinion, for what they did to the game. Because before before tuners came out, effect monsters were, like, really bad. And I think, coming from someone with some experience playing the game, that it's true. And that I'm right in saying that. Honestly, what effect monsters effects really helped all that much? There was Maneater Bug, which was a great card. There was Penguin Soldier. And there was Hane Hane to start. And then they came out with all this stuff, Gravekeepers, and Relinquished was okay. I mean, it was still a ritual, so it was hard to get out. But honestly, effect monsters' effects weren't worth what it took to get them on the field and how much time it took to get off their effects. They just weren't worth it, honestly, other than those three. Now, what happened to the game was, tuners came out, and specifically, this little guy. Back in the day, everyone ran Maneater Bug, Penguin Soldier, and most people ran a Hane Hane as well. Reason being, they were basically the only good effect monsters other than Sangan. And Sangan, he was good, but he wasn't good for the purposes of how you played a deck back then. Because back in the day, it was whoever could get their tribute out first. Literally. It was hard to come back from a game where you were the second person to get out a tributed monster. Once Ryza was on the field for one person, that person basically won the game. Once Chaos Sorcerer was out, it was game, basically. That's just how it was played. You had too much advantage, because there were no traps. Honestly, there really weren't. Like, 7 tools, yes, they had Mirror Force, but it was hard to get. Like, there was a time when Mirror Force was like, what was it even back then? Like, $80, $90, possibly even $100. It was expensive. All the traps that were good were really, really expensive. 7 tools was okay, but people didn't run that many traps. They ran spells, and for good reason too, because spells were godlike at that point. MST, fantastic. Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, Heavy Storm. They were just good. Smashing Ground, even. Fissure. Fissure was amazing. Fissure was a great card. But it doesn't work today, because people can so easily get out these big monsters through Synchros and XYZs. But when Junk Synchron came out in that structure deck, that was what changed our game. Because what happened was, everyone was running these level 2s. These level 2 effect monsters. Junk Synchron applied to level 2s. It made it so easy to turn around a game. Because you just summon, bring out your level 2, Synchro, up. Now I have Junk Warrior. And Junk Warrior was good. There was a time when Junk Warrior was pretty good too. Granted, he's not that good now, but still. He was awesome because he was so easy to get out. And it made special summoning viable. It was really hard to special summon back in the day. Synchros and tuners were the first things that killed the game. And how did Konami counter that? Because obviously they didn't want us to be playing the same way we did before, which was whoever got out their tribute monster basically won the game. Whoever got it out first. They didn't want it to be whoever got out their synchro monster first won the game. No, they didn't. So what they did? Traps. There's a reason why Mirror Force came to 2. There's a reason why Torrential came to True. There's a reason why they got reprinted. There is a reason why there are so many traps. A lot of worthless ones, but still, there's a reason they came out with so many traps. It's to counter those special summons. It's to get rid of the problem with synchros being godlike. And that's the reason why everyone has to run traps. I mean, there are very few decks that do not run a Torrential, a Mirror Force, and Bottomless. There are very, very few decks. There are very few decks that do not run Effect Veiler and Tour Guide and Max C. There's very few that do not run or side all of those cards. Reason being, you can't really counter today's meta, today's Synchros and XYZs, without having those cards. Those cards are what give decks even the slightest bit of a chance to stand up against Synchros and XYZs. And then this really broke the game. Right here. XYZs. Now, we have a card that does not need specific things to get it out. You don't need a tuner. All you need is 2 monsters or more that are the same level. That is all you need. Any deck can run these. Any deck. If you don't run a tuner or a Starlight Road, you basically can't run a Synchro. You can't. I mean, I'm sure there's ways, but how many? And how good are they? You can't. So you have to include tuners in those decks. Well, XYZs can be included in any deck. I currently do not run one deck that does not have a that does not have an extra deck. Reason being, because XYZs are so good. And very few decks don't have a 15-card side deck because of XYZs. So now you ask me, how has this killed the game? It hasn't necessarily killed the game as much as it has completely changed it. The game is not played the same way anymore. You have to be able to counter the meta decks. You have to be able to, because everyone runs them. Because not only are they really hard to beat, but they're cheap to make too. Honestly, yes, Effect Veiler was a little hard to find in the beginning, but now it's not, and it's cheap, and it's used. Thunder King, it's $4, not that big a deal. Tour Guide, $10. I realize it used to be $150 a piece. It's $10 now. Any meta deck, almost any meta deck, is extremely cheap to make. Unlike back in the day, when you had to spend probably $400 or $500 to make a meta deck. Today, it's so easy. And it's because of Synchros, XYZs, reprints, all those things. The way we play was defined by Synchros and XYZs. That's just how it turned out. Is it good? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it better? Is it worse? You be the judge of that. I like today's meta. It's fun. There's a reason I haven't stopped playing. It's really fun, and it's new, and it's interesting. At the same time, though, I miss the days when Monarchs were good. I miss the days when Jinzo was an amazing card. I miss the good old days when Elemental Heroes and Crystal Beasts dominated. Just dominated. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. But this is the Twirly Goblin signing out.